With the release of Sybiz Visipay version 12, we've launched a brand new changelog module. Because Sybiz Visipay is a multi-user system, from time to time people will make changes, and it's not always obvious who's made the change, when they've done it, and therefore you've got no clue as to why they've made that change. It's also helpful in a single user sense. So, for example, if an employee moved from one state to another, when you're doing your payroll tax reconciliations, that will help you trace exactly when the employee moved to a different state. Let's take a look.
I think before we get into a demonstration of the changelog, it's important to put it in context with something that's been in the system for a little while now, and that's the application log. So the application log kind of gives you a bit of information about what's been going on, who's been logging in, etc., what they've been doing, but it's at a very high level. It doesn't give you the specifics. So the changelog builds on that. So we'll just jump into an individual's record here just to see what that's all about. So we'll pick on Jimmy, and so each employee has now got the changelog option. And so what happens is when things happen within the system that have a direct impact on that employee, it's logged within the system, and so you get a nice little narrative as to those changes. So it helps, particularly in a multi-user environment, helps to narrow down who's made what changes, when they've made them, and whose machine they were made on. And you'll notice there's a couple items there in red. They were actually made at the database level, so someone's actually gone behind the scenes into the database, and obviously they'd need to have the security rights to be able to do that through Microsoft SQL. But if they have made a change that impacts on the employee data, that's highlighted in red. So quite a number of things are logged within the changelog, but not everything. So rather than inundate you and just make it ridiculous so that's unworkable, we've chosen a handful of items to log within the changelog. I guess a couple other points to emphasise is that by default it displays in descending order, and there's a nice natural language rather than having database gobbledygook in your face. It's giving you a nice description as to what's actually going on. And it also shows things such as if a change is made at, say, a staff type level, and that affects the employee, that is also shown within the changelog. So I'm sure that'll be a very popular feature, as I said, particularly in multi-user sites, but also for single-user sites that want to trace back when a particular change was made. Thank you.